wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I...
Do you have questions about starting a trucking business? Box truck or CDL, I've done both. I can help you start your trucking business or grow your business so that you can buy more trucks. Use the link in the description to schedule a one-on-one consultation with me. Now let's get to the video. Welcome back to another update on my trucking business. As you guys know, I started with a box truck back in 2021 and I got my tractor trailer in 2022, so I've been running that. I actually just sold my box truck at the end of June. And I was starting to worry because I've heard that the price of used trucks is actually starting to decline. So I wanted to get rid of that truck as quickly as possible. It was a 2010 International 4300 with a MaxxForce engine, which I know is like the worst possible box truck you could have. But I got it for pretty cheap a year ago, and I got it for $20,000. I was hoping to sell it for close to that. I had it up on Facebook Marketplace. I even gave it to a dealership and I asked if they could sell it for me. I had it listed for an entire month and no one wanted to buy it, so I just wanted to get rid of it because I was paying like $1,200 a month on insurance and I was just really worried about the used truck market potentially crashing. So I didn't want to hold on to this truck any longer than I had to. Anyway, long story short, I just wanted to get rid of it at an auction and I sold it for like $9,000. So that really hurt me. I maybe could have got like $15,000 if I just held out for a little bit longer, but I really just did not want to continue worrying about it. I didn't want to hold on to the truck any longer. Definitely didn't want to keep paying insurance on it, so I just sold it at an auction for $9,000. So now I only have one truck. I don't have a box truck anymore. I'm not running a box truck. I'm only running one tractor trailer. My truck is a 2016 International ProStar. It has like 600,000 miles on it. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know one thing. I use a staffing agency for my driver. So in this video, I want to talk about my entire month of June. I want to talk about how my business is doing. I want to show you guys the numbers that I'm getting. And spoiler alert, it's not very good. I feel like I've been saying this for an entire year now. I'm close to breaking even-ish this year with the tractor trailer. With the box truck, I was not making any money because, as you guys know, I don't drive the trucks myself. I outsource everything. I have a dispatcher, I have a driver, and I have a staffing agency. So what I'm really trying to do is just like build a business that's growable and scalable. So I don't want to cut any corners. I don't want to find some really cheap truck. I don't want to get really lucky with a really cheap driver. I want to be able to grow a business. I want to establish a business now with one truck and one driver that's successful without me cutting any corners. So I want to have like a good truck, I want to have a good driver, I want to use a dispatcher, I want to outsource everything. I want to be able to show that this one truck and this one driver is profitable, and as soon as I know that, as soon as I'm confident that my one truck and one driver are profitable, all bets are off. I will buy as many trucks as I possibly can, I will grow from there, but I'm gonna wait until I'm actually profitable, and right now I'm not. And I want to explain a couple things. I mean, you guys already know, first and foremost, fuel is just absolutely crazy, even with my fuel card. So I'm stationed in the Northeast, so unfortunately my driver has to come home every weekend, sometimes every other weekend, so I'm always forced to come back to Pennsylvania, and tolls are crazy in Pennsylvania and fuel is crazy in Pennsylvania. So unfortunately I'm always coming in and out of the state. I wish I could just stay in the Midwest or stay in the Southeast and stay away from Pennsylvania, stay away from New Jersey, but I'm always kind of forced to come back here. So fuel, in the month of June, I paid on average $5.70 per gallon for fuel. Now I've seen that fuel is coming down a little bit, thank goodness, but that's still at least $2 more than what it was a year ago. So fuel is definitely contributing to the fact that my business was not profitable last month. If diesel were $3.60 a gallon like it was a year ago, I would for sure be making money. My business would definitely be profitable. It's kind of a perfect storm, and I've talked about it in a bunch of my videos. I'm sure if you guys have been reading articles or on social media, you've seen the spot market has decreased by like 80 cents over the past 3 months, March, April, and May. And diesel is just continuing, and diesel is more expensive than it's ever been before. So the spot market's crashing and diesel is more expensive. It's kind of the perfect storm, and my business is not doing well right now. It's kind of sustainable-ish, kind of. I mean, it wouldn't be able to pay my bills, but like I said, I don't really do a whole lot with my trucking business. I'm trying to be really hands-off. I'm trying to grow a business. Okay, so first of all, fuel is eating away at my profits, and second of all, I use a staffing agency to find me a driver. So I have basically no benefits, no perks to offer my drivers. I don't have health insurance. I don't have 401k. I don't have great company benefits. I don't have a big, reliable company. A lot of drivers want to go to big companies because they know they're not going anywhere. There's a lot of stability. The pay is usually pretty good. I can't offer any of that. So I have to rely on a staffing agency. And what they did get me was a driver with 20 years experience. I might have been able to find that, but I was worried that if I tried to find a driver on my own, I just would have bought a truck and would have been sitting on it with no driver, just spending money on the truck payment, spending money on insurance with no driver. So I didn't want to worry about that. I also really did not want to get a driver with like 2 months of experience straight out of school. Not that there's anything wrong with them. It's just bigger companies can afford to hire those drivers because their insurance premiums are going to be higher. They probably have systems in place to train those drivers. I do not have those systems in place. I do not have the luxury of eating those higher insurance costs with those newer drivers. So I really wanted to use a staffing agency. The only problem is they charge 58%. So they charge about like $400 to $500 every week extra. They do a couple things for me. They process my payroll, they handle my workers' comp, and they handle the drug testing consortium, but that's really not a whole lot. The only good news is that it's only going to be for 6 months. So after my 6 months, I can hire this driver on full time to work for me, and I'll just be able to pay him like a regular employee, and I will be able to save so much money. So with those two things, with fuel and my staffing agency, I'm really just kind of trying to break even-ish. Like my cost per mile with how expensive fuel is and how much I'm paying my staffing agency, my cost per mile is $2.80 per mile, which is just ridiculous. Like no trucking business can survive at $2.80 a mile. But if diesel were to go back down to where it should be, to where it was a year ago, my cost per mile would be $2.60. And once I get rid of my staffing agency, my cost per mile would be $2.20. So $2.20 is definitely a cost per mile that a trucking business can grow at. But right now, $2.80 per mile, like I'm barely breaking even, which makes sense because paying so much for diesel, paying so much for my staffing agency. But I just bring all of that up because I get a lot of feedback. People are like, oh, you're spending way too much money on your staffing agency. And I understand that. Like I know I am. I'm the one paying for it. But I just don't think that I'd be able to find as good of a driver, if any driver at all, just with what I'm able to offer. Whenever I have 2 or 3 trucks, whenever I can get better company benefits, maybe I'll be able to get drivers on my own without the staffing agency. But just for now, I'm going to continue using the staffing agency, obviously because I have to, with the hope that this one driver stays with me for 3 more months. I can get away from the staffing agency. I can pay him more. I can make more money. And then also, drivers are great at recruiting other drivers. So hopefully, if this driver stays and if all goes well, then hopefully he'll tell his driver buddies about his job that he has with me, and then I'll be able to hopefully grow more organically that way. But with all that being said, I'm not going to get another truck until I can be 100% positive that this is going to be profitable. So like I said earlier in the video, I kind of want to show you guys what my June looked like. So I'm going to run through the numbers real quick. My driver averaged about 2,000 miles per week, which is not great. It's not terrible. It's probably like on the low end. Like I want to be closer to 2,500. I think like 2,000 to 3,000 miles per week is kind of the range. He's a little bit more of a cautious driver. He takes his time, which I'm thankful for. He's not the most aggressive. He's not the fastest driver. So sometimes he might be an hour or two later to the pickup or delivery than what my dispatcher had planned. But he is an incredibly safe driver. So I am thankful for that, but he's not the fastest driver. So I think if you have a faster, more aggressive driver, you can easily get closer to 3,000 miles per week. But with this current driver that I have, averaging about 2,000 miles per week, and my rate per mile is $2.85 per mile. That's what I've been averaging for the past 30 days. I'm relying 100% on the spot market. I use brokers like Ryan Transportation, JB Hunt, Flock Freight, Echo, Circle. Okay, so at 2,000 miles per week and at $2.85 per mile, I'm bringing in roughly like $5,500 per week, $6,000 per week gross before any of my expenses. But I already told you guys my cost per mile is $2.80. So you can only imagine if my cost per mile is $2.80 and my rate per mile is $2.85, I'm probably not bringing in a whole lot of profit. But like I've always been saying, I'm trying not to do anything. I'm trying to grow a business. I'm not driving, I'm not dispatching. The one thing I will say I've gotten pretty lucky with is my maintenance. Knock on wood, my maintenance cost last month was not too bad. I've been taking my truck to the shop like every other month. So last month I didn't take my truck to the shop. I took my truck into the mechanic in the beginning of July, and my bill was only like $1,500. And that was just like a preventative maintenance. They changed the oil. it was $1,500 because I had to replace a tire. So it would have only been like $1,000, which from what I understand is pretty standard, like $900 to $1,100. If nothing is really wrong, they checked all the fluids, they checked everything, they changed the oil, but I had to get a new tire and I had to get a tire rotation. So that's why it was a little bit more expensive than what it would have been without any things that needed to be fixed. But with a 2016 truck that has 600,000 miles on it, I was pretty happy that nothing really majorly needed to be fixed this time. But I always budget 20 cents per mile for maintenance. So if you're driving 2,000 miles per week, save or plan on spending $400 a week just on maintenance. The other thing that's been killing me is tolls. Like I said, I've been driving through Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York a lot. And last month I spent $1,200 on tolls, which ended up being like 15 cents per mile, which is just ridiculous. Like I originally planned on 5 cents per mile, and then I bumped it up to 10 cents. And then I just looked at last month and I was spending like 15 cents per mile. If you're in the Midwest, or if you're in Texas or other states that don't have as many tolls, you're probably not paying 10 or 15 cents per mile. But man, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, just absolutely killing me. Like I try to get my driver away from the Northeast as much as possible, but like I said, he comes home every other weekend, so like we're forced to come back to Pennsylvania. Tolls are just a necessary evil. One good thing is that I renegotiated my factoring company and I got a lower rate. So I started using my fuel card with my factoring company, and I was able to renegotiate because I'm factoring more invoices because I have a tractor trailer instead of a box truck. So I got a rate of 2.5% with my factoring company, which is saving me a couple $100 here and there. I'm happy about that. And the fuel card, it's really not too bad. The fuel card that Taft's partners with, I think they only work with TA. Before, I was letting my driver just go to whatever gas station he wanted to, which in hindsight was probably a terrible idea because obviously a driver doesn't care about what kind of fuel he's getting. So now my dispatcher plans every fuel stop for my driver. And I showed my dispatcher how to use the F2 fuel finder with my factoring company and my fuel card. And so he maps out where the cheapest fuel will be from pickup to delivery. And I think that's really saving me a lot of money on fuel. My insurance, it's really not that bad. I think it's probably pretty standard. I'm spending like $1,700 on insurance, which for a tractor is $65,000. I think that's probably pretty standard. $1,500 might be on the low end, $2,000 might be on the high end. So somewhere right in the middle. If you're thinking about starting a trucking business, plan on spending a good amount every month on insurance. It was definitely more than I thought it would be, but I'm spending about $1,700 a month on insurance, which really isn't too bad. And my truck, so in order to calculate the cost of your truck, I see it might be, you might think to just take your loan payment and figure, okay, that's how much my truck costs per month. But I talk about this all the time, and it's something that's often overlooked, but consider depreciation. So tractors depreciate over 3 years and box trucks depreciate over 5 years. So use that information to calculate the true cost of your truck. So if you buy a truck $50,000 or $100,000, however much you buy your truck for in the very beginning, even if you put in a $20,000 down payment, don't worry about that. Still just take the total value, the total purchase price of the truck. So the truck might cost $100,000. You might have put down a $20,000 down payment. Don't take the value of the truck to be $80,000, but instead take the value of the truck to be $100,000. Whatever the bill of sale, whatever the purchase price of the truck was, divide that by either 3 or 5, depending on if you have a box truck or a tractor. And that is your annual cost of depreciation. So to get a monthly cost of depreciation, take 36 or 60. So take a box truck, divide it by 60. Take a tractor, the cost of a tractor, divide that by 36. And that is how you get your monthly cost of the truck, like your true monthly cost of the truck. And then finally, don't forget about interest. So every time you make a loan payment, it's going to come out one number out of your checking account, but it's going to go to 2 different places. A portion of it is going to go to the principal of the loan, and the other portion of that loan payment is going to go to interest. So the portion that goes to the loan and the portion that goes to interest needs to be split. So interest expense should show up on your profit and loss, should show up on your income statement as an interest expense, but then the money that goes to your loan should not show up on your profit and loss. It should just go, it should be a transfer from your checking account to your loan payment. I know that's getting kind of specific, but it's just very important because I see people messing that up all the time. So just make sure you're splitting. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look at your loan statement every month. I guarantee you it'll have it shown right on your loan statement what portion goes to interest and what portion goes to the principal of your loan. Very important that you split that payment. So the last couple things I'm going to talk about are pretty, not really big expenses, but still worth noting. I spent about $1,000. First of all, I spent like $365 on a new GPS. So I was using the Trucker Path GPS with my iPad, and I got some feedback from my driver. He didn't like it, so I ended up, and it was costing me $12 a month. So I stopped using that. I got a Rand McNally 7-inch GPS from Amazon for $365, and I think that's been better than the Trucker Path GPS, and there's no monthly cost. So you just spend $365 one time and you're done with it. The other thing is that my ELD and my dash cam came out of my checking account this month, so I spent like $250 on my ELD and dash cam, and it's like $70 or $75 per month, and they charge you quarterly. So every 3 months you're going to spend like $250 on your ELD and dash cam. I definitely recommend you get a dash cam if you don't have one already. Just in case of an accident, it's always nice to have some sort of video footage of what happened. And the dash cam just faces the road, and anytime there's like a hard brake or obviously an impact or a crash, the dash cam will turn on and it'll record, for a couple seconds what's happening before and after the hard brake or before and after the crash. So just in the event of an accident, just really nice to have a dash cam. It's like $30 or $40 a month. It's definitely worth it. But the other thing is just like parking and scales and showers. So my driver likes to weigh the truck, like pretty much any time it's like over 35,000 pounds. My driver likes to weigh, go to the scale, which I can't blame him, because if he is overweight, he'll first of all get a ticket. It's a safety violation. But second of all, if he is overweight, it might wear and tear on the axles or the tires or the trailer a little bit differently. So I'm not terribly upset that he's weighing almost all of the loads. But parking and showers, I've talked about it before. I'm not entirely sure if I should be paying for it, but it's only like $15 or $25 to get a shower or to park, and it's not every single day. Sometimes it's not even every single week. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 times a week. Sometimes it's not at all. It's not the end of the world, and I'm really just trying to keep my driver happy, because I don't have like these big company policies. I don't really know what to do yet, and I've gotten some feedback in the comments. If you have an idea on what I should do about parking or showers, let me know in the comments below. I know some companies pay for it, some companies don't. Some companies have their own showers at their company headquarters or their terminals. The last thing I'll say is with parking. So I know some people, like if you fill up with like 50 gallons or whatever, you get a free shower, or if you fill up and you get certain rewards, you can pay for parking. But we don't always go to like Love's or Pilot or TA. We don't go to a specific gas station every single time. So like sometimes we're going to small obscure gas stations, so we don't always get those points to get the discounts or the free showers or the discounted parking. So we go to like some other smaller gas station. So I know you guys are probably going to say like, oh, every time you fill up 50 gallons you get a free shower, but that's not always the case for us. So anyway, with all that being said, just wanted to touch on a couple things that I've been noticing about my bookkeeping, my accounting, the things I'm spending money on, how much money I'm making, how many miles I'm driving, and total, all in all, last month I made about $22,000 based on my QuickBooks. I'm looking at it right now, $22,000, and I spent about $25,000. So it's not always a perfect matchup. Like sometimes the money that'll come out of my checking account to pay my driver like happens in the next month or in the month before. So it's not always a perfect matchup. But just for example, last month I lost about $3,000. And some months are better than other months. But two things are killing me right now. I said it in the beginning of the video. I've said it in almost all of my videos. The cost of fuel, which is affecting you and everybody else. But for me specifically, the staffing agency. So once I can get away from the staffing agency, in 3 months, the cost that I'm paying my driver will decrease significantly, and just hopefully diesel goes back to normal. If you guys are running your trucking business, I'd love to know how profitable you are, how much gross you're making, how much you're spending. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you.